The little girl played hide and seek with her mother for the first time, but she hid herself in the refrigerator. Unexpectedly, her mother drank the medicine and committed suicide. When the little girl wanted to come out, the door of the refrigerator could not be opened. The weak body can only rely on her small feet to kick the door. With her own persistence, the door was eventually kicked open. Because she just worked too hard, she sat on the ground and ate a strawberry cake. After a full stomach, she did not forget to bring a piece for her mother. Looking at her mother on the bed, the leather fox thought that her mother was just sleeping. Since the leather fox woke up, she began to live alone. She wanted to go out during the period, but she couldn't reach the door because she was too short. She found that the faucet was always open. She wanted to use the height of the stool to close the faucet. Unexpectedly, it was still a little short. Since she couldn't close it, she played with the water. After playing enough, she left. Unknowingly, there was a power plug on the floor. When the water came out slowly, the consequences were unimaginable. She came to the living room, watched a TV show first, and sent today's newspaper to her mother. But no matter how she played, she still couldn't get a response. In order to wake her mother up, she turned the TV to her mother's favorite love story. She was afraid that her mother couldn't hear it, so she specially adjusted the volume of the TV. But the result was the same. At this time, the helpless leather fox was afraid and cried. At this time, the phone rang. The phone rang. The leather fox suddenly wanted to pee. Seeing that her mother ignored her, she ran to the bathroom herself. She took the toilet pad and put it on the toilet. After peeing, she wanted her mother to put on her pants. She couldn't get a response, so she threw her pants away in a fit of anger. It happened to be on the table of the bathrobe. Then she lay on her mother and cried. She kept shaking. The sleeping pills in her mother's hand fell to the ground and scattered all over the floor. The young leather fox didn't know that her mother died from eating these white pills. When she was about to put the pills in, the phone rang again. She used the height of the stool to step on the bookcase. That's how she got the phone. Who knew that when she came down, she accidentally got the phone and slipped it under the closet. Luckily, the phone picked up, and what was heard on the phone was that her father kept scolding her mother. What her father didn't know was that her mother had already written a note on the mirror. Because she couldn't stand the endless quarrels and violence, she chose to commit suicide. Seeing that her mother was injured on her face, she put the face cream on her face. She thought it could be cured. The leather fox suddenly found that the pants on the table touched the bathrobe. It was smoking. She was afraid, so she stared at the bathrobe for a long time. She took off her pants in a fit of anger. Seeing the pants being burned out of the hole, the leather fox realized the danger. She wanted to close the bathrobe, but she didn't know how to close it. So she took curiosity to touch the bathrobe. She was burned to the point of being screaming. She lay on her mother and cried loudly. She cried and fell asleep. When she woke up, she was hungry. She wanted to get milk to drink, but she didn't hold it steady. She spilled all the milk in the bottle. There was no way to stop her. She had to go to the rice cooker to see what she could eat. She saw the burnt bread on the floor. There was a drop in the afternoon meal. She turned on the power switch and was going to eat it after heating it with a microwave oven. Unexpectedly, the time she set was too long. When it was heated, the burnt bread was burnt. Fortunately, there was another one. She was going to heat the burnt bread with a gas stove. But the result was the same. She was helpless. She was going to look for food in the refrigerator. She pulled for a long time. Before opening the refrigerator door, she took out the leftover sweets and ate them. After she was full, she suddenly wanted to play hide and seek with her mother. She took the goods in the refrigerator away and hid in the refrigerator. After a long time, she saw that her mother hadn't come to her yet. She was afraid of the leather pot and kicked the refrigerator door hard. She accidentally knocked over the strawberry jam and ate it on the floor. She didn't forget to share it with her mother. At this time, the water in the pool had spilled out, but the leather pot was still not cured. She was full and played the balloon again. It didn't stop until the balloon exploded. At this time, her father called again. She used a ruler to get the phone out. Her father asked her daughter to give the phone to her mother. Her father was still scolding her mother on the phone. After the phone was hung up, she saw the toy phone on the floor. The phone cable was just hanging on the table. She played and pulled hard. As a result, the leather pot accidentally worked. It soon caught fire. At this time, the leather pot was watching TV. Suddenly, the TV went out. She came to the back of the TV and saw the copper wire was broken. She followed her father's usual way of dealing with it and broke the power supply. When she was about to go upstairs, the water was released for a long time. Caused the hot water to explode. The leather pot was helpless. She had to cry to express her fear. It was this explosion that stopped the power supply of the whole family. Xia Qiao also solved the power failure crisis. She heard children talking outside. In order to attract attention, the leather pot threw her favorite toy down. She saw no movement. She climbed to the railing and looked down. She was crazy on the edge of death. At the critical moment, fortunately, she was saved by the house next door. Through verbal stimulation, she successfully saved the leather pot's life. After returning to the room, she picked up the pills on the floor. When she was tired, she lay in her mother's arms to sleep. When she woke up, she was hungry again. She brought a bottle of detergent. She thought it was milk. She asked her mother if she could drink it. She didn't get an answer. She was going to pour the detergent into the bottle. Fortunately, she accidentally spilled it. She was in danger again. She was going downstairs to get something to eat. At that time, the first floor was already full of water. The leather pot carefully carried the water away, but she accidentally slipped and fell. She sat at the table and ate a few bites. She brought the rest of the food upstairs and put some of it in her mother's hands. After a while, she picked up the sleeping pills on the floor and put them in her mouth curiously. Without her mother's advice, the leather pot ate several pills in a row. After eating, she sat on the floor to apply nail polish. At that time, her phone was out of battery. It was about to turn off. At that time, her father called again. At the same time, the effect of the sleeping pills came up. In this way, the leather pot fell asleep in the ringtone of the phone. Her phone was completely out of battery. But the more terrible thing is that the house started to charge again. The electric shock started to work again. In a blink of an eye, it was night. The spilled water caught the neighbor's attention. The phone rang while breaking the door and hitting the ball. At that time, the smoke was all around the second floor, but the leather pot was gone. Not long after, her father rushed back. He saw his wife moving on the bed. His wife was in pain. After shouting a few times, he found his daughter under the bed. At that time, the leather pot didn't know what happened. He told his father innocently, "No matter who is wrong, the child is always innocent." Her father pulled her out from under the bed, clutching her tiny body against his chest as smoke still curled through the house. Tears mixed with soot on his face as he tried to wake his wife. The house was a wreck. Broken glass, water everywhere. The smell of burnt wires and nail polish lingering in the air. The little girl blinked, still groggy from the pills, unable to understand why her father was crying. She asked him softly if Mommy was still sleeping. Her father didn't answer. He simply hugged her tighter, rocking her back and forth, knowing that no matter how many mistakes had been made, this child had no blame to bear.